Hey guys, welcome back to the Hybrid Athlete channel. I am Dr. Paul Rimmer, and today I'm going to be distracted by bottles. Today I'm going to talk to you about my last week's training. General training last week was much better than the week before. I think the last training log that I did, basically I had a catastrophe of a week. I think it was just an accumulation of volume quite quickly, which is kind of what the point of this training block was, but it still kind of hits you like a brick when you are struggling to get through sessions that should be challenging but not super challenging. So off the back of the last one, on my long run, which was like an endurance week, I had to kind of tap out about 60-70% of the distance that I was hoping to accomplish that day, but it was fine. Like I say, I've been accumulating a lot of strength work. What was really interesting is last week's training was a strength part of this block. So bench went well. Squat, the only thing I had to change in my training with regards to my strength, really, even though there was a little bit of fatigue carryover, I think tapping out a little bit earlier the week before definitely meant that my strength work is always a really good indicator of how much sort of fatigue I'm carrying. So that's why I quite like keeping some strength work in anyway. I think even if I was a pure endurance athlete, I'd still keep some explosive, dynamic and strength work in, which I was monitoring. I mean, I'm a big advocate of strength training for endurance athletes anyway. I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to do a little video on injury and injury prevention as well. So from that perspective, and also in terms of sort of efficiency and economy of movement as well, I'm a big fan of strength training. But I mean, in terms of keeping some measure of that strength as well, making sure that's not dipping off or progressing, and how I'm feeling in those sessions is definitely a big indicator of how much, like I said, how much fatigue I'm kind of carrying. So yeah, having tapped out a little bit earlier the week before, and then basically taking a really chilled weekend, I then had a good upper body strength session, a good bench session. So I think I worked up to, I was doing sort of cluster sets at around 105, 106 kilos. I'm not going to be getting any stronger at this point now, to be honest, with the volume of training I'm doing, but strength's maintaining quite well. It's a big indicator for me. And then the only thing I've changed in terms of my training was when I was squatting, I've had a bit of the elbow pain with a low bar squat, and I think because I probably need to take a little bit more time doing more mobility work and things, but doing cluster sets, like I'm fine doing triples, double sets of 5, but when I'm doing cluster sets, where I'm doing maybe 5 or 6 sets of 3 in quite quick succession, I've noticed that when I'm going heavier, I'm starting to get a little bit of elbow pain. So to alleviate that, I've just switched back to a high bar squat, or a higher bar squat. I wouldn't say it was a pure high bar squat. But again, the point of this is to just keep that load fairly high. And actually, I was still hitting the rep ranges and load ranges that I wanted to, even though it was a slight shift from what I would say is my pure powerlifting squat. But this isn't a pure powerlifting block at the moment. It's a strength block where, yes, I'm going to keep, I want to keep my technique as close to what I can do on competition day. But right now, the priority is not just getting stupid little, silly little pains and niggles and tweaks, which is just a distraction. So speaking of which, this week I've noticed that I went to go swimming again and the pool was closed again, so they've sent another email out to apologise. I've noticed that this week that I've just started to feel like a little bit in my joints a bit from the volume of running I'm doing. So instead of doing my run intervals and stuff this week, to be honest, I've just been spending time on my feet. Did a little bit of work on the bike, nothing too high intensity, because like I say, I'm still carrying a lot of residual fatigue from last week. And I've got through those strength sessions this week, but getting through those sessions was harder than it should have been. Like normally I come off the back of my strength sessions and there's the effort levels kind of like I'd say overall from that sessions, and the fatigue I can't carry from it's like, it's a 7 or 8 out of 10 level of effort. And those were coming off, and I was like getting to the end of sessions and like trying to talk myself out of doing the full amount of sets and things as well, which is a big indicator. And I was meant to do a full body session this weekend, but to be honest, I was just really, really broken. And now we're back into an endurance week this week. So this is the final long run that I will do before I start to taper down. Now a 4-week taper might sound like a long taper. It's basically 4 weeks and a couple of days until the big show, until the 100 miler. But obviously you can't just go out and do an 80 kilometer, 90 kilometer, 100 kilometer training run and expect to just kind of taper for that in a couple of weeks. So for me, I like to give myself at least 3 full weeks of rest and recovery, where I'll be doing some running, but it'll just be very short, sharp runs, interval type runs, some longer runs, but probably nothing over really, half marathon distance in that time, if I'm being honest. So this week, we've got the bank holiday coming up. and I've got a few plans on, and every other weekend throughout May until race day I've got some things, work commitments and other things, life commitments that I always said would never completely dominate my training, and that's something I'm trying to stick to. So this weekend is the last opportunity to do my long run, but I've then got to head on my travels for a few days. So I've basically taken it really easy this week, and then I'll only do today. So we're on now on Tuesday the 26th of April. So today I'll probably just do like an overall kind of upper body fluff session, maybe some arms and things as well. Nothing too fatiguing, nothing that's going to cause too much stress on the body. Certainly no lower body training today, because I carried a lot of fatigue over from my leg session. It was quite a big leg session in the end, it turned out to be. So yeah, carried a little bit of fatigue from that, so I want to make sure that's fully recovered. And then the plan will be, tomorrow will be more stretch and mobility. So yeah, Sunday I just did a really good stretching session, mobility session with my groups. Tomorrow will be the same again. And then Thursday I will travel home to Chester, to sunny Chester, stay at my parents on Thursday night, because they live right by the start line to the course. And then Friday I've got a quick call in the morning, super early with one of my clients, at like 6 a.m. And then I will head out straight on the road, and I'm going to just try and get in a good 12 to 13 hour time trial, and wherever I am at that point, get off the course. The point of this session coming in this week really is I want to come off the back of that feeling like I've got another 50-60k in me, basically, without feeling like I want to die. So the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to really be super strict with my paces. I think I've got a really good pacing strategy now, to play the long game a little bit. I've ran that course a few times now in terms of different segments, different durations, different weather conditions. So I think I've got a really good idea of how to pace it, when to pull back, when to push, when not to get too excited with the course. So that's really the objective this time, is to just go and take it easy, and then get to kind of the sort of 60-70k mark. And then depending on where I am and how much time I've got, because I've got to get back to catch a train in the evening, is to then really think about pushing as hard as I can at that point. So yeah, I'm hopefully going to get somewhere in the region of 80k is the target, but depending on where I am, I might push a little bit further. If I'm a little bit shallow of that, it's fine, as long as I feel like at that point I've still got plenty of fuel in the tank and I'm not already broken. Okay, so I'm going to keep well away from the edge of the cliff on that one. So yeah, that's where I'm at with training this week. I'm feeling good. I don't feel entirely fully recovered yet from last week's training. I don't feel entirely like my body's physically in 100% shape for running on Friday, but it is only Tuesday. It's Tuesday morning. A few really good days eating, making sure I'm on top of my sleep. I'm not going to be shy on my sleep this week. Shy with my sleep and my naps this week, really get myself as recovered as I can do. And then yeah, last big final run this week, so it's time to make it count. So there's that sort of nervous energy building as well, because this is really the last opportunity to get it right. Because even if it goes wrong this week, if I'm still carrying a lot of fatigue, I'm probably just going to have to bite the bullet and then just really focus on that last 4 weeks of not trying to squeeze in too many long runs, just because at that point what you're doing is you're trying to balance a bad performance in training versus understanding why there's a bad performance there. And then that becomes problematic, because obviously if you then go out and try and do it again and again and again, you're getting close to the competition. If you're already carrying that fatigue, is that going to be something that's going to give you confidence, or is it going to be something which subtracts away from that? Ultimately, whatever happens at the end of May, I'm getting around that 100 miles, unless I get a serious if I get pulled off the course and miss a time cut off, which they're quite generous, or I've got a serious injury and it's under medical advice. So it is going to happen. What I want to do though is make sure that I can try and dip into under that 24 hours. But if I don't, it's still going to happen. So that's what I'm working off the basis on now. That's what I'm working on the basis of this training on Thursday, Friday, this run on Friday, is to make sure I can get to that point, that 80 to 90k mark, bang underneath where I need it to be to reach that 24 hours. Right, you wonderful humans, go have a good rest of your day, have a good training week, and I'll be posting more content this week, which will be to do with more of the technical stuff, so the sports science shorts, and then a few other bits on question of the week as well. I've got a good question of the week this week, which is on injury prevention, so at some point I will link that back into this video here. Yeah, just me waffling on. Might not be the most interesting thing into you, maybe it's quite helpful, I don't know, but please give me a like and a subscribe, because I'm sure my other content is it's more beneficial to you guys. Right guys, take it easy, peace.